Hello and welcome to this little video demo of Commetrix Analyzer. Today I'm going to show you how to load files into this tool, and I also show you what you can do with this in the first minute basically. So first of all, obviously you have to load a data file from Commetrix. It's usually indicated by .cmx, like for example this one, which comes with the trial version as a demo dataset. You can basically import such things from Excel files or from a MySQL database. So we open this file, and then it is being prepared for the interactive session. This may take a while. So here we see it, and now you're seeing the first layout as the computer put it, and some first means of interacting with this layout. For example, you can select the link length and increase it to give it more space to lay out, or you zoom in, and now already the first sight, even without knowing what it is, you see there are strong and weak links. So what do we see here? Actually, it's a network of different employees who exchanged email messages. So the link is basically one or more exchanged messages, and the node is a person. Now, on the first tab here, we see the tabs. On the first tab, you can, change the layout. On the second tab, you can access and add, or rather, show certain properties, and via different means. For example, you could select the function of the people. You have traders, employees, or something on the links. For example, I don't know, the number of link events that have been exchanged. Link events in this case would be the message. Right, and the good thing is that as a modeler you can decide for yourself what properties you want to store for the actor and what properties you're going to store for the link event. Now the next thing is that you can choose what size and color of the nodes represent. For example, the size could represent those nodes which are more active than others, or you could do similar things with the actors, with the node colors. So, for example, we want to see the number of contacts that they have. So we see orange nodes is always the warm color, showing actors with high number of other peers around them connected to them. Versus blue is the cold color, showing that they have not that many contacts. So you can play around with coloring, with rings around the nodes, like for example this one. And this all is basically just representing the values that we have stored in the data model. Alright, so the subset section is the next interesting thing. I freeze the network before I do something here with this little button. So now it cannot change anymore, because what I can do now is I can filter out the backbones of this network. See? And to make it more interesting, I can also filter out all nodes which have no connections, so basically you can see how they disappear. There's another nice mode which might be interesting. We activate the fading mode, and then everything that is being faded out remains a sort of shadow color, so that you can see where you are in the overall network. Right, so let's turn this off again. This also, and now finally we see the whole network again. And another thing that comes up here is selecting some egos. Ego is usually meaning that you look at the network from one person's or a couple of persons' perspective. You could, for example, activate this filter and select, for example, the function, and then pick, for example, I don't know, the directors. And one important thing is to select the depth around the directors, otherwise you will see only the directors, which is this one. Remember, if we put the fading mode in, then we see how the directors are spread across the whole network. And if we now increase the depth to 1, that means you're not showing only the directors but also the immediate contacts. And again, the warm color is indicating the ego nodes that you've selected, and the colder the color, the farther away are the contacts. You can also have like 2 links around the focal actors, if you like. Okay, so let's put this back to the start. Let's also inactivate the fading mode. The next thing would be that you look for keywords. So again, that means if you stored keywords, I mean, for example, in this case, there are keywords stored to represent the content of the exchanged messages, but you could also have datasets where you code this manually somehow, for example, different projects names. And then if you pick particular keywords, we could figure out whether or where they occur in this overall network. So now I'm going to look for a particular one, which is Transwestern, which is a subsidiary company. So that is a useful keyword in our context here. Just give me a second to find it. Here we are. And now I apply this filter. And also I turn on the fading mode again. So I see in this network we have a subnetwork where they talk about this subsidiary of the company. Right, and the network, the keyword feature is organized in a way that you can basically see all words that have been stored rather than search for them, because you don't know what the content of this network is, and by this means you can just scroll through and check out what you can learn about the network. Okay, so let's turn this off again. And the final thing I wanted to show is that you can, if you have the timestamp available, that you can shift through the network and figure out how it is evolving. You see how it is growing. And if you let the network rearrange, then it will automatically select the best possible view, and you can basically check out how the network is growing over time. Picking up the isolated nodes. Alright, so this is how it looks like. At all times you can measure the statistics, like for example the link strength or paths or the centrality. You can select individual nodes and find their properties. And another important feature is that you can export data. It will look like this. For example, there are link tables which you can preview in here. Also keyword tables, so it computes the main keywords, and node tables, and you can export them to Excel mainly, and from there to SPSS, for example. We have that's the statistics tool. The idea being that we don't know what sorts of analysis you want to do. That's why we decided that it's possible to activate data to Excel mainly, so that you can manipulate it in ways that you like. However, it pre-computes all the main measures. So, for example, you can build a ranking of the most central persons that you could do otherwise. Right. So, and you just press always this button here, export network, and then, so to say, data snapshot is being put on the disk or on the location where you find it. You can also save network screenshots. Alright, with that I want to conclude my first look at this tool. I thank you for your attention, and goodbye.